Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com. I have to confess, cheerful though I am having a moment of existentialist despair. The question is, why don't record labels care about their records, about what they make, what they produce? I find it's mind-boggling. It really is. Artists care. I mean, they do, and they're stuck, unfortunately, the poor dears, having to promote their own recordings as often as not, which is completely insane. And one label, one really cares about what it's doing. Naxos. Because Naxos sends me every month a list of everything that's coming out, and I know what they're doing, and they'll send me promotional copies if I ask for them. I mean, they are pros in the good old-fashioned sense. Another label that cares is Australian Eloquence, because I know the guy behind it, Cyrus Mayer-Holmgee, who's fabulous and who I used to work with when he ran, so is it Soundscapes, Megan? Soundscapes, the Australian Record Magazine. It was so long ago. My goodness, I can't even remember, but he was a part of the jury of the Con Classical Awards, and he's a fabulous guy. And he cares. I mean, there are a few people here and there who cared, but by and large, it would be a miracle if I heard from a major label or even the larger independent labels, Chandos, Hyperion. I can contact some of them sometimes and talk to them to get permission to use a sound clip. Nimbus has been excellent. Thank you, Nimbus. Some other labels will try to cooperate, but by and large, they just don't care. Even the independent labels don't care. And you have to understand, I grew up in this industry in the 1980s. That's when I started writing criticism. I mean, I was a classical music junkie since the 60s. But in about 1985, or 84, 85, I started writing criticism. And I started writing for High Fidelity magazine. And one of the most fun things we did for the couple of years I was at High Fidelity magazine with my editor, Ted Libby, was sit down and take the lists of everything that was coming out in the upcoming year. And there was a what's to come feature, usually in December, November, December. Gramophone did the same thing. The Gramophone list of all of the new recordings on all of the labels that were coming out in the upcoming year. And everyone knew what they were. Never mind getting promotions, never mind writing reviews. We at least knew what was coming. They told us. They wanted us to know. And we published the list. We would. I would publish a list if a label had the kindness to send me a complete list of upcoming releases for the year 2026. I would publish them without a comment, good, bad, or indifferent. I would just say, look, this is what they're doing. It fascinates me that I've got 10 million viewers a year. Now, something like that. I think last year it was almost 10 million. This year will be more. And 67,000 subscribers, which is about twice what your average audio magazine ever had or has. And they still won't tell us. They don't do anything. They don't do anything to promote their stuff. Sometimes there's a PR person who works for the artist. The artist pays for it. But the record labels themselves, the vehicles through which we experience the music, are deaf and dumb and silent and, with those noteworthy exceptions and maybe one or two other little ones. Even the little guys, even the little indies who I would be happy to promote. All they got to do is tell me what's coming out. I'll tell them if something interests me. I'll buy it myself. They don't have to send me one. I just need to know. I just need some communication. Anything. It's like the search for intelligent life in the universe. There's nothing out there. There's dead silence. And God forbid they would say thank you. Because I know, and you know, that when I make a recommendation, people buy stuff. You tell me that you buy stuff. From the comments here, when we agree on reference recordings, when we have these conversations and we make lists and discographies, people buy stuff or they download it and listen to it. They buy stuff. They get something out of it. And do you think they would say thank you? I get thank yous from artists. I do. Some of them, yes, sometimes a few, one or two or three, not more. But even there, it is bizarre, beyond belief, the total lack of communication. And what fascinates me about it particularly is that we live in a time when nothing could be easier than communication. Send an email, make a phone call, drop a text. I mean, you don't even have to spend money. It's not like they have to spend money on advertising. God forbid. Oh my God, advertising. No, 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 no. They're not going to advertise. All they have to do is say, look, this is what we have coming up in the next year. Do any of these things interest you? Or we'd appreciate seeing a review of these. I don't like to deal with artists directly. I never did, because there's an ethical issue there. If I like them, if I'm friendly with them, I'm usually honest whether I like them or I'm friendly with them or not. And they know that. And the ones who know me know that it's not personal. But by and large, the record labels were supposed to be the intermediary between the artist and the critic, so that the critic could at least assume, from an interpersonal point of view, a stance of objectivity. And that's almost impossible now. It really is. You have to deal with artists and deal with things because, you want to know what they're doing and you want to be able to promote the good ones, and they may send you a nice letter and you have to write to them, So it's not like it used to be, where you could maintain a healthy third-party distance that gave the critic and the criticism a certain amount of credibility because of its distance from the thing being criticized. That's gone too. And so you have to contact people, and we talk sometimes, we do. But I just don't understand the total inability of these people to drop me. They all know who I am. They all know what we're doing. We've gotten a lot of attention. We've gotten a lot of good press. We are a thing in the classical music industry. And given that we're a thing, it's a resource they should be taking advantage of. I mean, it's so hard to get known. It's so hard to be noticed. And, I am so selective in the things I choose to talk about or to review because there's so much out there, and just tons and tons and tons of stuff. And, and I'm only one guy, at least as far as this channel is concerned. At Classics Today, we have other writers, thank God. But it's very, very difficult to cover the entire realm of what's out. And so you would think that the people producing the recordings would have the sense to try and be in touch with the people who are reviewing the recordings and to follow up. It's not just being in touch. I mean, I get a zillion emails. I can't even keep track of my emails. I get so many emails saying that, this thing is coming out or that thing is coming out. But that's not what I want. I don't want it one thing at a time. I need to know what a label is, who its artists are, what its long-term projects are, what's going to be happening next December, what's going to be happening for all of 2026. What are their plans? What is the program? That's what we need to know. Because then we can make allowances. We can plan. We can make some sort of accommodation for what's coming, and we know when it's coming. And it's instead of just having to deal with everything on a piecemeal basis, the second it arrives, one thing at a time, one crazy thing at a time. It's just unimaginably stupid. It really is. And I don't get it. I really don't get it. I mean, I understand that print media, which used to be the vehicle through which all of this happened, has vanished. It's gone. And record labels have no money. They have no money for advertising. They don't do anything other than distribute products or stick them up online with their logo attached. That's about as much as they do. And I get all of that. But they have people. They have people who work there. I give you an example. This is, I get contacted by the publicity people at Warner. And they send me a list every month or two of what's coming out. And they ask me if I'm interested in anything. And I write back and say, yes, I'm interested in this, and this. And then silence. I never hear a word. Nothing ever happens. That's par for the course. And that's Warner. These huge companies, they hire PR people who are permanent employees. What are they doing? I mean, what are they supposed to do? Okay. So I wanted to just say that because, you have to understand, I just wanted to understand there was a time, when there was a flow of information, a useful flow of information. It wasn't nasty. It wasn't critical. It wasn't crazy. It was a label that had an A&R department or a person who was in charge of promoting recordings, of organizing recordings, of deciding what's going to get released, what month it's going to get released. And we had lists of the entire upcoming year, month by month by month, for every single label. Where did that go? I mean, I was talking about it. I used to talk about it all the time with my partner, David Vernier, when we started ClassicsToday.com, because that's when all of the breakdown was going on. And we were doing everything that we could to try and maintain this idea of information and reviews that mattered. At one point at Classics Today, some of you may remember this, we had a newsletter. And what we would do is, it was an advertising vehicle. If we liked a recording, we would contact the label and we'd say, would you take out an ad in our newsletter? Because we've already done the review, we've already praised it. And what we would do is, it was a very nicely printed, glossy, couple of page thing. And we would print the thing up with the rating and the piece of the review. And there was a feature one, but a bullet point review or excerpt from the review with the cover, and it looked really good. And we had end caps in all of the Tower Records stores, and I think some HMVs too, but mostly Tower, in their classical departments. And this newsletter would come in, and we'd distribute them. We did all of this. We distributed it to because all the magazines were gone. So we would distribute it to the Tower Records classical departments. They would have these newsletters. They would give them away for free. And we had a Classics Today banner that they could put on an end cap where they could feature all of the recordings that were in the newsletter. And they worked. It sold things. It was amazing. You'd be able to wonder, these things actually worked. And it was very profitable. We did very well with it. When we were getting started, it was really important because we didn't have reader subscriptions. So we had to make money from the industry and from other sources of advertising. And so for a while, that kept us going. Nowadays, thank God and thank you, we have viewer subscribers who are insiders, and please keep subscribing and do it so that we can keep writing reviews and featuring things. And we're actually in the middle of a huge revamp of the entire site that's going to be done in a couple of months, and it's going to be gorgeous and fabulous and much, much more user-friendly than it has been hitherto. It's because of you that we were able to do that, to reinvest what we got into making the site better and all that stuff. So we can do it. We can do it because of you. And thank God for that. But heavens to Betsy, why won't these people simply provide basic information or be involved in some way in helping to organize and schedule and promote their material? I don't understand. I'll never understand. And that is today's rant. I just had to, it had to come out. I was so frustrated the past few days. I mean, I'm sitting here surrounded by CDs, and if I had time, I would be talking about all of them one way or another. But this is all stuff I've purchased, all stuff that interests me. And it's like, it's, it's a voice in the wilderness. It's, nobody is paying any attention. The places where they should be paying attention. You guys pay attention. The consumer end, your listeners are wonderful. You pay attention. But the labels, the people producing the stuff, the people who want to reach me and want to reach you, it's as if we don't exist. And they're living totally in a vacuum. Okay. I'm done. I got to stop. This could go on forever. Thank you for putting up with this. I needed to do this, and I'm so grateful that you're all there so that I can vent once in a while. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.